Good morning and welcome to our workshop today. We got a great workshop today, Larry. I'm so excited about our conversation about KPIs to drive 3x sales growth in 2023.
No, we're gonna have a great time. We all know what KPIs are, so get ready. But we're gonna throw a really great twist on this. That's gonna get you all to think differently, but it's gonna accelerate your growth into 2023.
That's absolutely right. And so whether you're a sales leader or you're an individual sales professional, what we're going to talk about today is going to be very specifically applicable to both, because what we want to do is we want to think about, especially as we're heading into 2023, which is a year, let's just be honest, of uncertainty in so many different industries. What can we do to make sure that we're focused on the things that are actually going to drive results? And that's what we want to talk about today. But as people are coming in and as we're getting started, we got an announcement, and I'm so excited about the 2023 Authentic Selling Challenge. It must be January. It must be a new year, Larry.
It is. Can you believe this? This is our third annual, Darrell, already.
This is going to be amazing. And it's January 9th through 13th, 1 hour every day. And look at this roster of people that are going to be joining us. This is going to be exciting.
Obviously from Don Barden, a dear friend of ours, to Meredith Elliott Powell, amazing. Liz Wendling is a rock star. None other than Brent Adamson.
Brent Adamson is going to be in the challenge.
Brent's awesome. And then we're going to
He's fired up.
Oh, he's so fired up. And we're going to round this out with our dear friend Colleen Stanley on Friday. Action-packed. Be prepared. We look forward to seeing you at the start of the new year.
Yeah, if you want to snag a ticket, just go to AuthenticSellingChallenge.com. It's absolutely free, thanks to our sponsors. And it's going to be phenomenal. I know you may not be able to make every single day, but try to show up live, because live at our challenges is so much fun. And of course, we'll send you the recording if you've got an appointment that you can't reschedule. So come join us, AuthenticSellingChallenge.com, January 9th through 13th. But today, what we really want to focus in on is how are we going to drive sales growth in 2023, and what are the things? There's so many different things you can measure when it comes to sales, and there's lots of things that you should measure, but we want to talk about the actual KPIs that are going to really be important to track to drive the type of growth that you want. We call it 3x growth, and you're going to see why we call it 3x growth later on when we actually introduce a really handy tool that you can use to plan your goals for the new year. Once again, whether it's for yourself or for your sales team, if you're a sales leader. But these three KPIs, we believe, are the three data points that you absolutely need to know about yourself. They're not complicated, but they're super, super powerful. So we're going to do that. And we're just going to set the stage to plan for 2023. And you know, Larry, you know, I'm a planner for sure. And I want to make sure that everybody's got tools that can help them plan. So Larry, are you ready to dive in?
No, I'm ready to dive in. And here's how I just want to set the stage on this, Darrell, and then we're going to dive into this, because salespeople and sales leaders out there, you can focus on the things that you can control. Mm-hmm. And that's how y'all show up. But what we want to really think about are, what are your revenue generating activities? And we're going to combine this with relational growth activities. Those two things and the three things that we're going to share with you, they're going to exponentially grow your business in 2023. And you're going to see it's easy stuff, but yet it's difficult for some people to implement. We're going to make it easy for you to implement this.
Well, we say around here that soft skills or people skills yield hard dollars. And these three metrics actually absolutely demonstrate that. And when you see the tool later on in our time together today, it's going to be great. We're going to share about 25 minutes together. So this is going to be phenomenal. And make sure at the end you'll get a copy of the tool, and so you can start to use it yourself to plan for 2023. So KPI, 3 key performance indicators that you absolutely need to track in 2023 that are going to drive 3x sales growth. KPI number 1, Larry, is...
Drum roll. Number of opportunities. Let's unpack this, Darrell.
Well, it's the number of opportunities that you're putting into your pipeline. And this is, this is, let's just get honest and get real on this. This is the true measure of our ability to prospect, not only the quantity or of prospecting activity that we're doing, but the quality to be able to turn connections into conversations, into opportunities. And there are definitely some KPIs underneath this that you can measure, but at the end of the day, the number of opportunities, and we're saying real opportunities here, not fantasy opportunities, but the number of real opportunities that you're putting into the pipeline is the KPI that we've got to measure. And this is, this is a time where I think we got to have some real talk as sales professionals, or as sales leaders. Are the opportunities that we're putting in our pipeline actual, true, qualified opportunities where we found meaningful value that we coach to at Selling from the Heart, value that actually the buyer believes is meaningful to their current situation and achieving an outcome they want? Or are we just putting stuff in the pipeline because, hey, I call these not deals. I call them like fantasy land on all of this.
I just imagine who was the small little guy on Fantasy Island that's the plane, right? It's that. But here's what I want us to focus in on. And in Selling from the Heart, I wrote about it. And it's if you ever want to have an ever-flowing sales funnel, and really key on this as you all are rolling into 2023, is if you want to have an ever-flowing sales funnel, you must build an ever-flowing relationship funnel.
That's right.
They both feed one into the other. And this is the number of opportunities that you're bringing into the funnel on a daily basis.
Yes.
And this is the non-negotiable things that we're urging and encouraging you to hold yourself accountable to.
Well, and this, we coach at Selling from the Heart around the trust formula. And I know many of you are familiar with the trust formula from our trust challenges and from our courses. But if you think about the anchor of the trust formula, authentic relationship and meaningful value, there are the relationships we're developing. But those relationships also, we need to have an understanding of what meaningful value is to each one of those people individually. And I would say an opportunity in a pipeline is one where you have a solid relationship. And I would say in B2B, multiple relationships, and where you can identify at least one clear outcome that client wants that is critical to them doing well in 2023. If you think about where we are right now, there's a lot of shifts in a lot of industries where, we're dealing with inflation, we're dealing with supply chain problems, we're dealing with rising interest rates, we're dealing with global instability. All of these macro things are filtering down to your specific industry and then down to each one of those clients. Can you articulate in each opportunity in your pipeline at least one way that your recommendation is going to help them achieve that top level outcome that they need to achieve? And so when you look at your opportunities, the question is, how many opportunities are you adding to your pipeline? And we're going to challenge you in the planner in just a few minutes to go back and go, how many opportunities did you add in 2022? Now, once again, this is time for some
it's mirror moment time,
right?
It's mirror moment.
Did I just put something in because I had a conversation with them? Or do I have a relationship and value, something that I can hang my hat on that opportunity that's a reason for them to move forward? So we're going to look back into 2022. How many opportunities did you actually add to the pipeline in 2022? And then we'll take a look forward in 2023 in our planner in just a minute. But that brings up KPI number 2, key performance indicator number 2, Larry, is?
Drum roll. And this would be your win rate. Isolate what your win rate is.
Yeah, it's the win rate. So what is your win rate when you think about all of the deals that you had in your pipeline last year? And once again, I think this is real talk time. So this is looking at the actual deals where we just talked about that KPI of, did you know at least one person have a real good relationship, and could you articulate meaningful value and outcome that was going to help solve a real relevant problem that they have? Of those deals, how many did you win last year? What was your win rate? So if you had 100 deals, did you win 25? You'd have a 25% win rate. This KPI is really, really important. There's so many things we could say here. One of the things, and we've talked about this in other workshops, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more in our workshop series in 2023. But, it's interesting when you look at that win rate. These days, data is showing us that multiple relationships inside current accounts are what are driving the win rate. And I love that research report we have from our friends over at EBSTA that shows,
Oh yeah.
when you get up 4, 6 or more relationships in a current account, your win rate goes up. So we can affect this win rate, but when you're planning, you need to know, what was my win rate last year? So of the qualified deals, the real, genuine, real talk opportunities I put in my pipeline, what did I win last year? And how can I plan? How can I improve that KPI? That's going to have some dramatic effect, as we'll see in just a moment when we pull out our planner. It gets exciting. But before we get there, we've got to look at KPI number 3, unless you have more to say about win rate, Larry. I know you like to win.
No, I do like to win, but let's go to KPI 3, and then we're going to tie this all together, because this goes back to how many people inside the deals that you're working on right now. And KPI number 3, and I know this is near and dear to you, Darrell, is what's your revenue per client? Know your numbers.
This one is probably the most overlooked one. A lot of sales leaders and sales professionals know how many deals they put in the pipeline. They know what their win rate is, and they probably calculate it pretty quickly. This one right here is something that is really, really important. So what I want to challenge you to do is to go, what was your revenue per client? Now you could say, if this is going to go in 2 different directions. If you're in an industry where you do a deal and it's 2 or 3 years before you do another deal with your client, you don't have a lot of stuff to cross sell, I want you to measure your revenue per deal. So what was my revenue per deal last year? Well, that one's easy math, right? Let's take our total sales last year and divide it by the number of deals we closed. That's my revenue per deal. Now, for most of you, especially our friends who are full cycle salespeople who are responsible for not only closing the deal, but building the relationship. Of course, our friend Mark Hunter says, you don't close a deal, you open a relationship, right? Yep. What are you doing to grow that relationship? Now, there are lots of things you can do to grow your revenue per client, but it begins by understanding, what is your revenue per client? So if you take a look at, in this case, our first example was, if you don't have a lot of cross-sell stuff, it's one and done, then it's revenue per deal. Here, what I want you to look at is, how many active clients do you have? How many people do you have that are clients that are buying or maybe should be buying from you on an ongoing basis? And if you take that number and divide it by your annual revenue last year, your sales last year, that's going to give you your revenue per client. By the way, we say client instead of customer because customers go to Walmart to buy toothpaste. Clients get advice from trusted advisors. I'd rather have clients than customers, but you can say revenue per customer if you absolutely have to. But that's the whole thing, is how many customers do you have that are or should be buying from you? And what was your revenue last year? And this is a KPI that most salespeople aren't calculating.
No,
it's a real critical one.
No, and here's what, no, absolutely. And here's what I want us to all think about. And I use the term full potential. So as you start following along with us, as we start planning this out together for a very successful 2023, is I want you, whether you're a sales professional or a sales leader right now, just think back. And I'm just going to ask yourself, you're right. Just think about this, am I at full potential with my clients right now?
Oh, that's good.
And right, whatever that answer is, I mean, this is the mirror moment. And if the answer is no, I'm not, then really hone in on these 3 key performance indicators. They're going to launch you to greater success. But we really got to hone in and say, of all the things that I have right now, am I at full potential? Am I selling everything possible to my current clients? Because there's where the money's being left on the table.
Yeah, as we're recording this, we're about to head into football bowl season. I love this time of year. We're about to have our championship games and all of that. And, 2 things in football and any sport, but we'll just use football. And for our international audience, we're talking about American football. We could talk about football, though, as well, because we got the World Cup going on. But there are all kinds of stats that you can measure, KPIs, if you will, in sports. But really, when it comes to a sports team that's struggling, and as a lot of our college football teams have ended the year struggling, what do they say when a team starts struggling? You've got to
go back to the basics.
The basics. What we're showing here today is the basics. So I want to show you a planner that we've put together around this. It's really simple, but simple is powerful. As I like to say, you got to simplify to
Well,
scale. So,
but as you're bringing that, and I just have flashbacks, and I remember my mother-in-law told me a long time ago, as I was dating now my wife, but she said something that's really was profound, and it stuck with me, and it plays out with what we're going to share with you. She said, Larry, if you can't do the little things correctly, you'll never be able to do the big things correctly.
yeah. So we have this
And
planner. Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
no,
Larry.
no, I was
You're
just saying,
absolutely
but
right.
no, but these are simple little things, but these are the ones that often get overlooked. We're saying let's focus back in on three key things.
That's right. So here are the three key things we want you to focus on. And this is a tool we're going to give you after. It's a simple spreadsheet. No one freak out. This one's really, really easy. But this is where if you go in and you say, okay, 2022, here we are. We're recording this on December 15th. If you run a calendar fiscal, you got 2 more weeks and 2022 is over. So how many opportunities did you put in your pipeline in 2022? Now, once again, let's be honest. Were these ones where you had a real relationship and where you were able to articulate meaningful value? And right? Was there a real business problem, or was it a fantasy that you were putting that in the pipeline because you just needed something to go in the pipeline? But how many real opportunities did you put in? Now, here's what's cool. When you look at planning and you say, okay, if I had if I had a plan to prospect effectively, to uncover opportunities as I built relationships, how much could I grow into 2023? Could I grow my number of opportunities by 25%, 30%? This is the question for you.
I
Let's
like
say
3. So
30%.
let's do,
You like three?
this is threes, right? So let's go 30%.
Yeah. But this is where if
It,
you thought about, okay, if I got more effective, more efficient, more strategic in how I plan my time, if I upskilled myself or my team to be able to go out and actually leverage the latest strategies to build relationships and uncover value, could I grow my number of real opportunities by 30%? If so, okay, there we go. Now, by the way, we're keeping score down here on the bottom. This one's fun. I'm just going to throw a highlighter on this because this is fun. I don't strike through. Where's my highlighter, Larry? There we go.
there you go.
Let's put a highlighter on this. Fun with spreadsheets right here. But look at this. If I don't change anything else and I grow my number of opportunities by 30% in this hypothetical example, we went from $500 to $650,000. Now, let me tell you, that's nothing to sneeze at right
No, it's
now.
not.
And the reality is, as we're in many industries and many markets around the world going into challenging times, you got to be strategic. So let's go to the next one, win rate. How many deals am I winning? Now, when you think about winning deals, Larry, I think about two things. I think about relationship. How many people do I actually know in that account? We
And
got data that shows more people,
yep,
more relationships, higher win rate. And then meaningful value. Do I understand and have I clearly communicated the meaningful value to each one of those people? If I get those things right, is it plausible that I could increase my win rate?
absolutely. 100% you could.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. And this is more relationships, more value. You want to stick with the 30%, Larry?
Let's just go straight across the board. Let's go another 30%.
All right, we'll go for 30%. Here we go. Look at this. Boom. If I increase my win rate by 30%, so go from 25% of my deals won to 33, for example. Look what's happening to this bottom number. This is pretty darn exciting right here because now we're at $845,000 up from 500,000 by looking at not only how can I put more qualified opportunities into my funnel, but also what can I do to build the relationships and establish the value to increase my win rate.
And this is where it goes back, and I'll drive this point across, is real relationships inside your client base right now is going to drive exponential real revenue. This is what's going to create that long-term sales sustainability that we talk about here at Selling from the Heart. We always say numbers don't lie. These are real numbers. It's just going
Real
to require y'all to,
relationship, real value, real
absolutely.
results.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we're going to get down to revenue per client. And once again, we talked earlier, you could call this revenue per deal. So if you're kind of a one and done type sales scenario where maybe you just do a deal and 3 or 4 years passes, you want to maximize your revenue per deal. How do you do that? Well, you establish more value in that deal, right? But if you look at the majority of sales professionals listening in that are full cycle salespeople that open relationships and go back and grow those relationships with, ongoing. Well, we rebranded the quarterly business review, but you could take our authentic client management class for that and learn about that. But if you think about, instead of just going in and saying, hey, I'll see you in 3 years, but actually going back on a consistent basis, adding value, creating more opportunity in those accounts. Now we look at that revenue per client. And Larry, this is what we're about to show is the real X factor multiplier here for reps that want to grow their sales.
No, absolutely. And before you get to that number I really want us just to really key in on this is, the way you're going to grow your business in 2023 is right through your client base.
Yep.
I said, the key to this is right through. And Darrell, I know you are. We're all about growing net new business. Absolutely 100%. But let's grow new business through our clients, not at the expense of our clients.
Yeah. And this is great because the beautiful thing about growing your business through your clients is not only do you grow this number of revenue per client, but your best clients are your fastest ticket into net new business with actual referrals as you're adding value to them. But Larry, I think we should stick with
We just got to stick with the number.
Let's see what it does. Ready? Drum roll, please.
Look at that. You've doubled your revenue in 1 year.
Yeah, and this is amazing. And I want to say, look, first of all, you're gonna get this spreadsheet, so you can play with these numbers, really think about what's possible if you're able to increase your ability to prospect, your ability to sell and win deals, and your ability to drive revenue per client. This is how you go, can I grow revenue in a challenging economy? The answer is absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Because when the economy is challenging, people have problems. And as our friend Bob Messa says, they don't actually buy products, they hire them for a job to be done. And that job, there's going to be a lot of jobs on the market, hypothetically, or with quotes around it, like lots of problems to solve in 2023. And this is where we've got opportunities. If we can build authentic relationship, establish meaningful value, all of this. And I just want to say, for many of you, if you've neglected your clients, what if you could go back and double your revenue in your current client base? What does that mean? Like the numbers start adding up, and these numbers don't lie. This is just simple math. But if you could set yourself up on a cadence with your current clients to go back and expand, say from 20,000 a year to 40,000 a year, by expanding the value you're providing to solve the problems that they have right now, you're literally in a place where you could actually, in this case, you're more than tripling revenue by just modest growth in each one of these areas. So I want to challenge everybody listening in. I want to challenge you to think strategically about where you're going to go in 2023, because this is, like that football analogy right now. This is the time, when things are tough, when you're about to go play the big team, that this is a time where you got to block and tackle well, where you've got to get back to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals here, interestingly enough, when you think about these three drivers of number of opportunities, win rate, and revenue per client, what is the one thing we got to ask ourselves? What's the one thing that we can work on that affects all three of those areas?
I mean, I'm going to circle right back into it's the amount of relationships and what you uncover inside your client base.
Relationships and value, right? And this is all related to trust. More trust, we like to say it selling from the heart, more trust, more sales, right? It makes sense. More trust, we're going to be able to go in and create qualified opportunities where we understand value and we've got relationships. More trust inside the sales cycle itself, we're able to move deals through to closed won. because we're able to build consensus with multiple relationships and understanding value. And once that trust is established inside our current accounts, this is the foundation on which we continue to grow our business.
Yeah, and and as we bring this to a close, I just got to think it's a corny rhyme. It's almost like Dr. Seuss in nature, but people, this plays out. It's really simple. And as you hear this, it just ties right into what we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know, the more you grow. The more you know about your clients, the more you grow with your clients. The more that you learn from your clients, the more you earn from your clients. It's that simple, but yet
Yeah,
it's difficult to execute with consistency. All we're asking you to do is bring some discipline and some consistency to the forefront.
I love it. I love it. I love these comments that are coming in, by the way. We've just been like presenting and talking about this, but I love this. Keep prospecting
I
intentionally.
love it. Mark Gassert's great guy, by the way. I
And
was
you know
just on
what?
his podcast with his co-host Tom Ginn. Great guys.
I love that, Mark. And what I would say too is prospect for opportunities, prospect once you're in a deal for multiple relationships inside that prospect account, right? So you can close your win rate or increase your win rate, and prospect inside your current client base by continuing to add value. This is really, really powerful on this. And you look through, and I think are we moving the ball forward?
Good old
That's it.
captain.
That's good, Captain. And yeah, our good friend Dave Tegmeyer is absolutely right. We're selling from the heart. We're bringing heart and emotion into all of this, but we're also bringing value. And when you look at your business, and every salesperson, if you're in sales, you're an entrepreneur, right? You're a business owner. You're the president of your territory, if you will, is what I used to be told. And I agree wholeheartedly. Business owners know the numbers.
Yep.
So if you're a sales professional, I don't know what numbers your company requires you to turn in, but you need to know these three numbers that we've talked about today. And sales leaders as well, right? I don't know what numbers that you've got to report up the chain, but I would want to know as a sales leader, what are the number of actual real opportunities coming in? What is my revenue per opportunity, or my close rate? What's my win rate? And what's my revenue per client? These are powerful. And you're right, Bruce, a 10% growth in each one of these is incredible when you think about what you can do. And I think with the headwinds right now, really what we've got to do with this block and tackle mentality is go, okay, what can I do in 2023
Yep.
to get more opportunities, win more deals, and increase my revenue per client?
Yeah, and what's really good is it just reminded me. You used the football analogy, but you said block and tackle. If you go back to the great Vince Lombardi, who was the head coach of the Green Bay Packers,
Yes,
80% of their practice, 80% was on blocking and tackling. That's what they practiced every single day. Imagine if 80% of the time you practice the blocking and the tackling. It's the revenue growth activities, and it's the relational growth activities. That's what's going to exponentially grow your business in 2023.
Yeah, and this is what's motivating, driving, inspiring the coaching and training that we're doing at Selling from the Heart. Because if you look at authentic prospecting, our core course around building trust in the prospecting process by building authentic relationships, that relational funnel that you like to talk about, Larry, I agree wholeheartedly. If you want a full sales funnel, you have to have a full relationship funnel, establishing value inside that, then taking that through to once you're in a deal with multiple decision makers and influencers, and Brent Adamson in the work they did in the Challenger Customer demonstrated conclusively that there are multiple people involved in each account. And when we build that relational network inside our deals is when we increase the win rate. And then all of that relational network expanding out to ongoing relationship and revenue per client, we coach that in authentic client management. So authentic prospecting for
Selling.
authentic selling for win rate, authentic client management for revenue per deal. And all of these things add up to create what we call the 3X effect, because we've got three drivers going right here. And you can play with this spreadsheet over the holidays as you're planning for your new year. whether it's yourself or your team. If you're running a team, you could actually track these numbers for each person on your team and use them as a foundation for coaching, just like our coaches at Selling from the Heart do with the people that we get to coach in 2023. And so this is where we look and we say, okay, let's go back to the beginning. What are you going to do different in 2023 to get different results? It's going to be a tough environment, probably. We don't need to be afraid of it, but we do need to be wise. And to be wise means we got to know the numbers, and we got to, we're going to need to make sure that we're focused in 2023. We want you to focus. It's 2023. And so
and there's three drivers
to focus on right there. Look at that. That's just serendipitous, beautiful marketing, whatever you want to call it. Hey, as we go, just thank you so much for everyone that's here live. Mark, hey, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you.
That's all. Yeah, it is.
We got a new podcast format coming out in the new year that you're absolutely going to love. We've been working on it here over the holidays, and you can go to sellingfromtheheart.net and get a free autograph copy of Selling from the Heart from none other than Mr. Larry Levine himself. And we're here to serve, here to help. Thanks for joining us today. We want you to take this spreadsheet, and if we can help, if you're a sales leader, we'd love to sit down with you and help you work through your strategy for 2023. And if you're a sales professional and would like to talk to one of our coaches, we want to offer a free 30-minute coaching session, and you'll see some details on how to take advantage of that in our follow-up emails. We'll get you the spreadsheet. And if you want to talk to one of us about this, we'd be happy to. Make sure to get your ticket for the Authentic Selling Challenge coming up January 9th through 13th. Help us spread the word on that. Larry, I think as we wrap up, this is going to be our last live broadcast before the end of the year. And so I just want to say happy holidays to everybody out there. This has been a fantastic year, and it is so much fun hanging out with the community of people as Selling from the Heart. Absolutely love it.
No, absolutely. And just a quick ping on Darrell is, we go back 5+ years ago when we started the Selling from the Heart podcast, and the book came out a year and a half afterwards. Who would have thought that here we are sitting as we're live December 15, 2022, that this movement around authenticity is where it's at. I sincerely appreciate all of you. I'm just going to have one ask as we round this out. Will you help us grow this movement around Selling from the Heart? And
Absolutely.
if that answer is yes, just help us spread the word. I love what Captain says. 2023 is an unstoppable freight train of opportunity. Yes, it is.
Great way to end our time together. Hey, thank you, everybody. And as we say at the end of the podcast, let's have a great holiday. And most of all,
sell from the heart.